Modern women tutorials. Regret. That's the problem. It's for mostly ladies nowadays. A lot of y'all don't plan for the future and don't expect regret. Y'all make decisions now that you don't realize you will regret in the future. Especially if if you're doing OnlyFans and whatnots or adult content. Y'all tend to regret that. Y'all also regret certain relationships. You know, again, that was decisions. You got to understand that you're gonna make decisions and take actions that you will regret in the future. Because a lot of y'all decisions are made off of emotions, not logic. Here's the thing you have to understand: the difference between regret and most other emotions, like hate. Like you might hate this guy, so that's why you're not with him no more, whatnot, right? But interesting enough, a lot of ladies tend to regret not being in a relationship with a lot of their exes. Some of your exes make sense that you're not with them no more, but on average, a lot of your exes were actually decent people, decent guys. You just didn't appreciate them as much as you should have. Or, a lot of y'all ladies, what I hear, a lot of your excuses is like, oh, he didn't give me enough attention. He didn't, he was too nice, or some other shit like that. It's like, okay, shit that don't make sense to break up or to not be in a relationship over. But that's what y'all choose, so that's on y'all. But the thing about regret is the fact that it's more than an emotion. It's something that happened or something that didn't happen, and that's why you regret it. It's something that it's a memory. So regret is memory based, right? So since you did do something and now you regret it, or you didn't do something and you regret it. And guys, we have regrets too. But interesting enough, the way it is, men and women are different, right? So for guys, we tend to regret what we didn't do. Ladies tend to regret what they did do, right? You ladies will regret the guys you did have sex with, right? Most of your exes, right? But for us, we will regret most of our exes that we didn't have sex with, or we didn't, try to, make sure the relation worked out, or that kind of stuff. Like, we tend to regret what we didn't do. Like, oh, I wasn't there enough for her, or this, that, like, we tend to regret that way. Because we, internalize it, as it were, right? We focus on what we didn't do over what we did do. Ladies tend to regret what y'all didn't do. What y'all did do. So that's the thing. Y'all regret what y'all did do. That's why it's important that what you do in your life, right, your body, your choice, and whatnot, you know what you're doing, right? That every decision you make is something you want to have done, and you won't regret it later because it's something you already considered that, like, yeah, I wouldn't regret it later because this is what I wanted to do. No ifs, ands about it. That's called accountability. That's the thing. Most ladies regret things that they did largely because of lack of accountability. They did it at the moment. They did it because of their feelings, this, that, and the third, right? Whatever reasons they have for why they did it, but it's never because they truly was okay with the consequences of their actions, as well as, anything that comes along with it in the near future. And that's the thing, is like, you got to understand that the thing about regret, unlike being angry at somebody, right? You can be mad at somebody, angry at somebody. You can quote unquote stop loving somebody, but you truly never do. But you can convince yourself to stop having certain feelings for somebody, right? But you will never get rid of regret. That's the thing, man. Regret it's much bigger, especially for the ladies, because since y'all live mainly on your emotions more than logic, and regret is logic based. That's why it affects y'all way more than us. That's why we say that y'all ladies in the future will regret your decisions you make now. We don't. We have regrets, yes, but it's largely the things we didn't do, not the stuff we did do. So we're not going to regret the decisions and the stuff we did in the past as much as y'all do. We're going to regret not doing things that we wish we did. Oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have told this person this. I should have told that person that. You know, I should have played the lottery the lottery numbers, right? I would have been a millionaire. Blah blah blah, right? So many things, you know, I could have done. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? But for the ladies, it's, oh man, I shouldn't have gone to that party. Oh, I shouldn't have given that guy a chance. Oh, I shouldn't have had sex with that guy on the first day. I shouldn't have done. I shouldn't have. Right? Because y'all feelings is what causes y'all to do things in the first place. So everything you do it because your feelings, right? Because you felt like doing it, right? So later on, when you start, thinking, right? Start, looking at your past, then you're going to start regretting a lot of the stuff you did in the past, especially if the stuff in your past pop up in the future. Like an old ex pops up into your life, or some people who knew you from the past, start mentioning your past, and that becomes a problem, right? Because again, especially, like I said, you'll start regretting it because it's like, damn, I shouldn't have done that because now that's what everybody, knows me for or whatnot. And you might not be that person more. And that's the other thing, right? People change over time. Ladies tend to change like every 30 minutes, right? You're always trying to be something different, do something different, Y'all kind of have like ADD when it comes to life. Y'all want to change your outfits, your hair color, your face, like your body. Like you want to change so much periodically. Change your boyfriend, change the job, change, just change your car, like change the world, like like you always want to change. Always trying to have the new latest iPhone. You buy iPhone 20 right now, an hour later you want iPhone 2021. Like, y'all persistently keep trying to change. And a lot of times y'all try to change the guys you're with, and guys don't change that fast. We can change, we just don't change that fast. And change is good, just not if you're doing it all the time, because it just becomes too much, and then certain other issues. But anyway, the thing is, regret is something you can't change, right? It's something that happened or didn't happen, and you're just remembering that, hey, I didn't do that thing, or I did do that thing, but I can't undo it. Like I can't go back in time, right, and change it. So, which is why I try to tell ladies a lot to stop dwelling on the past. What you do now affects your future, right? Obviously. So make better decisions now so your future will be regret-free. Which is why I tell ladies, like, hey, you can do whatever you want, right? You're making the decision to do that thing you want to do, but I'm letting you know it tends to not work out too well. Hopefully you're special, right? And you're an exception to the rule, right? Because, I tell most chicks that, hey, if you keep thinking the way you're thinking, you're going to more likely be a cat lady. If you don't want that type of future, and more likely, trust me, once you get to that point, you're going to regret it. And I'm going to be the one that you're going to think of, like, oh yeah, I remember that guy told me this was going to happen. Like, yeah, I was telling you for your own good. I wasn't telling you, like, because I'm trying to insult you or make you fear something, or like, sometimes that's the kind of response I get. It's like, you guys always trying to scare us. It's like, no, we're trying to tell you the truth. That's the thing. We're looking out for you. We're doing you a favor. If you don't, hey, you do you. It's your life. We're just letting you know that, hey, at the end of your life, right, at the end of the tunnel, right, you're going to regret a lot of the shit you did now. That's all we're saying. Because we think about the future. We think about, when we're going to die, how we're going to die, and all that stuff. Like, we think about what's going to happen in the future. So we're just letting you know what we think, and what we know from experience. I've met many of cat ladies in my life, you know, before they passed, and talked to them and heard their stories and stuff like that. And yes, their regrets is what they didn't do, not what they did do, right? They always have positive things and nice things to say about, like, a lot of the guys that, they had good long-term relationship with, but it's always their sad stories is always the stuff that they regret, right? Regretting, you know, cheating on one of their boyfriends, or regret breaking up with a guy who was a really nice guy, you know. Now and then she remembers, oh yeah, she saw that he got married to some other chick that she knew, maybe her best friend or something, and they lived a great life, and she's miserable. Like I said, regret. Or I regretted choosing a career over a man, and now I'm not as happy as all my other friends are because they chose a man over a career, and they're much happier. So the thing is, not saying that you have to be in a relationship, right? You have to be married, you have to go that route. If you want to be a career woman, that's totally fine. What I'm saying is, you got to understand the end of that path. The end of strong, independent, don't need no man tends to be the cat lady path. And if you're okay with that, hey, more power to you. You understand, you're prepared for it, and you're not going to have no regrets because you know that's going to be your end result, right? But if you choose the path of being a wife, or at least being in a long-term relationship that lasts 20 plus years, then your outcome is going to be typically going to be a lot better. At least you won't be alone. At least you'll have somebody there to share the last years of your life with, and it should be better because you're not alone. If you're alone, it tends to be boring and it tends to suck, and then that's where the regret comes in, because like, oh man, I should have at least had somebody to be here with at the end of my life. I got this big house, money, this, that, and third, but it's boring because I'm alone. You know what I mean? Humans are not meant to be alone, regardless of what people on the internet tell you. We're not meant to be alone, because if we were, always would have been alone. But at the same time, it's like, how do we reproduce if we're always alone, right? Or how does society work if we're loners, if we don't work together? Teamwork is the opposite of being alone, right? A loner doesn't do anything with anyone else, so nothing gets done. So teamwork makes the dream work. So we have to be a team. We have to get together. We have to get along, coexist at least. I'm not saying you have to have a boyfriend, not saying you have to have a husband, but I'm saying is you should at least have some guy that'll at least be there, when you're really old and you have very little regrets, because at least you have that one guy, and whatever y'all do, right? But at least y'all have each other, is what I'm saying. Make sure you have somebody. Doesn't have to be a boyfriend or a husband or whatnot, but at least have a guy. Or if you're into chicks, that works too. At least have somebody, but a human, because a lot of y'all will be like, oh, I'll be okay with my dog or cat or whatever. It's like, no, that's the problem. Is when you substitute human companionship with animal companionship. Trust me, you don't want a cat or a dog when you're really, really old. You're going to want a human being. A human being understands you better than a animal does. And if you're still sexually active, trust me, you don't want a human unless you're into whatever. The point is, get a human. But like I said, you don't want to regret. And all I'm doing is giving you a warning. That's like, understand, a lot of what you're doing now, you will regret. So at least prepare yourself for that. At least accept the fact that you will regret it, or try to make better decisions so that way you have less to regret. It's going to be hard to guarantee you have no regrets in the future, but at least minimize it. That's all I'm saying. Because some ladies are just compounding their regret. Like, hey, I'm having my hot girl summer phase, and I'm getting OnlyFans, and cheating on my boyfriend, and the list goes on and on. It's like, damn, you're just adding. It's like adding a whole bunch of criminal charges. It's like you already committed a crime, but it's like, well, doesn't matter that I stole a car. I might as well rob a bank, and I might as well, uh, you know, do counterfeit money and like just keep adding to your criminal, activities. It's like it's the same thing. It's like don't, it's like you're already, if you already choose to do something that you already hear other people, tend to regret and tend to have issues later in life because of it. You might not want to do everything that everybody else is doing that they tend to regret. The idea is to have less regrets. You want to be happy. The best the time you want to be the happiest, living your best life, should be close to the end of your life. When you get really really old, and you could barely go to clubs, you could barely want to leave the house, you barely want to be around other people, right? That tends to happen when you get old. You just want to keep to yourself. So you at least want to have somebody there that you can get along with, because you're not going to be social anymore. That's the thing. When you're young, you tend to be more social, unless you're like an introvert or whatnot. But when you're young, you tend to want to hang out with everybody, your friends, meet new people, this and that. But the older you get, the less you want to be around other people. Which is why it's important for you to find one person that you love to be around with, right? That you appreciate to be around with, And like I said, regret. I don't want to take forever talking about regret over and over again. Just letting you know, you might want to consider, looking into your current decisions, your current life. Even some of the stuff you already went through in your life, your past, and see. First thing is, look to your past to see if you regret anything. If you regret anything in your past so far, then you're definitely going to have more regrets in the future. That's the thing. And it adds up. And like I said, since you can't undo regrets, and you can't just let it go, like you can let go a grudge, right? You can let go of being angry at somebody. You can let go being sad, right? Emotions change, right? You can choose to be happy and do things that make you happy, right? That's an option. But what's hard to do is to get rid of regret, because regrets are based off, like I said, things that did happen or didn't happen. Basically life. So since you lived a life, there's going to be tons of things you regret. The idea is to minimize the things that you regret. So make sure you live a life that's minimal on regret, or at least try to be regret free, but at least minimize your regret. And typically it's what you do. When it comes to the ladies, it's what you do that tends to be the thing you regret more than the things you didn't do. All right, not saying you won't have any regrets of things you didn't do, but typically it's the stuff you did do that you regret the most. Because you'll regret not not dating that nice guy that was nice to you. Instead, you did date the bad boy or the other guy. So it's like, damn, I should have been with that other guy, not that guy. Now I regret that I was with that guy, right? So you create two regrets, right? You regret being with that one guy that turned out not to work out, and you regret not giving the other guy a shot. So you have two regrets. But the one you'll dwell on the most will be the fact that you did give, because the guy you didn't give a shot to, you regret not choosing him, but that's because of the guy you did choose. It was because of him is why you regret not choosing the other guy. But if you had to choose, if you knew, well, the thing is the fact is, not picking the other guy is not as bad because of as the fact that you did choose the other guy, because you don't know what you missed out on, right? You didn't choose the other guy, so you don't know if he was going to work out or not. He could have been a great guy, but it still could have not worked out, right? So that would have created a different regret, because then you regret choosing him and then it not working out. Even though he was a good guy, it didn't work out, right? So it's, again, you focus more on what you did choose to do, right? So you regret that you chose the wrong guy, but the decisions that you didn't make, which was choosing the right guy, for example, is less of a regret. So it's a smaller regret choosing the wrong guy was the bigger regret, right? Just like there's, big lie, small lie, right? So you took a big L by choosing the wrong guy, but not choosing the right guy was more of a smaller L. And that's the end of the video.